had breakfast today.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia. I'm general manager at the Growth Gurus. We are a retention marketing agency, and we specialize in post-acquisition marketing. Over the past 8+ years, we've been able to work with some iconic brands in Australia and in the US, and we're proudly a Klaviyo Elite partner and part of Klaviyo's advisory board as well. What I wanted to spend my time talking about, which I think is relevant as I'm the lucky last one before lunch, you've heard a lot of information about AI, and it can be a little overwhelming. It's one thing that I wanted to have everybody sit back and kind of reflect and think about what everyone's doing. You've heard from, leading experts in this space of how they're implementing and incorporating AI. And think about how that actually makes sense for your individual agency or business, and where it actually makes sense to lean into the human element and what actually, makes you unique as an agency, why someone would actually choose to work with you over others. And so today, I'm gonna walk you through how we've balanced the human component at the Growth Gurus with incorporating AI. Before I walk through our workflow and how we're doing this in our day-to-day process, I think that it's important to go through a little bit behind the scenes of how culturally we think at the Growth Gurus. It sounds cliche, and I almost hate to say it, but it is true that we've always considered what makes us special and unique is really the gurus behind the scenes. And we knew with doing one thing and doing it really well that we needed to surround ourselves with a team of specialists and not generalists of one person and one person doing it all. So we have a dedicated team that does everything, as you can see, from strategists to email designers to content leads, data analysts, specific in their craft and really passionate. And what's really important about this is that we find that generalists, they incorporate AI and they might do everything end to end with AI because they actually don't know anything different. Whereas specialists, they're able to understand their craft so well that they can use AI to really amplify what they do every day. And so I want you guys to all consider who's in your team right now and where does your expertise lie, and consider where AI should sit to be able to amplify your team. Everyone knows that client expectations have changed in the last several years. It's definitely something that we're seeing with shorter timelines, higher expectations, and faster decisions. But one thing that we've been very deliberate and intentional about is making sure that we're moving quickly, but in the right direction. With incorporating technology like AI and you don't have a solid foundation, process, and roots and understanding of the brands that you're working with, it tends to just be guesswork. And so we really find that when you have a deep understanding of who you're working with, the data, the customers that make up their database, that's where that speed can be made into a really meaningful impact. So this is a glimpse of how AI comes to play. And what I'm gonna do is walk you through some of the key elements of working with a brand and where we balance AI, but where the human component actually shines through as well. So I'm sure that everybody has seen, I think I've seen 3 posts today on LinkedIn where there's a whole AI agency. They're replacing everybody from account managers to the copywriters to strategists. And as an agency, that's a bit confronting to see. But I do think that although AI may take, and it will take, some execution work away, is that the need for growth strategic partners is going to be around for a while. And so with that, we've always been incredibly mindful of establishing that with our brands, whether they're coming to us for a retainer engagement or a fixed price project. And that starts in the discovery stage. So our discovery stage is something that's incredibly human, and it's something that we don't rush. It's not something that we have on a checkbox. It's something that we take the time to truly understand the brand that we're working with, but most importantly, the person that we're working with as well, or the people. It's something that we want to know their pain points. We want to know things beyond the scope of understanding fulfillment issues, ingredients of products. We actually purchase products from the brands that we work with to be able to test it in real time in person. Because when we understand things holistically, how things work, we can do our work better. Where AI comes into play is definitely the process and making sure that we have this shared intelligence model. Many agencies up here spoke about how they're consolidating information, and we're doing things very similarly, of making sure that when we have a team of specialists, that it's not siloed with one person knowing more about the brand than others. So that's a really important element of making sure that everybody has that same foundation and understanding. The next step is strategy, content, and copywriting. This is something that see a lot of people handing it off to AI completely. And we're doing things a little bit different, where we're actually investing in this space with humans a bit more. So we have specific roles, content leads. We have the lovely Emma, who's a content lead in the back. And we've invested more in this space where we've hired content coordinators because of the power of this role. The content lead goes through and is diving into the data and the strategy first and foremost. So diving into things like segments, insights, survey data, and audience breakdown before they even write a word on paper. It's incredibly important to understand your customer base and who you're actually talking to. So we really have the human-centered approach when it comes to this strategy. However, as you can imagine, with collecting things from like micro-surveys, profile data, monthly reports, it's a lot of data to have in one person's brain. And so this is where we use AI to strategically grade our work. So they're letting us know, does this match the specific goal or the tone of voice that resonates well with this specific cohort, so that we can be hyper-personalized based off of what we know specific segments engage best with. So it's something that's very human-led, but AI-validated. And another thing to call out is that we have a lot of experience in the supplement industry, and specifically women's health and wellness. After doing numerous consumer research surveys, it's something that we find that a lot of women are coming to these brands, incredibly frustrated as their last attempt. And so with that, we need to meet the consumer with empathy. And right now, I find that really hard to achieve with AI. And so that's where it's important to really understand who is in the database, what their needs are, and adding that human touch so that it really comes across genuine. The design process is something that I've really enjoyed as a non-designer, being able to play around with mock-ups and mood boards, and it's something that we're incorporating to speed up time for production for when it comes to design. So it's really great for non-designers to be able to communicate visually what's going on in our heads to our design team. But it is something that predominantly a lot of the work that we're doing is email, and we follow the 60-40 ratio when it comes to email marketing, which is backed by Klaviyo. It's something that I see a lot online of image-based emails, and we've done a lot of testing for our brands to see. Obviously, image-based, there's a lot more control that you can do, but we're really about making sure that we're leveraging dynamic content, personalization, and being able to do that 60-40 ratio has performed best for us. So, with that being said, we definitely need our experts with our email designers to be able to create those beautiful emails in platform. And so we're doing this to make sure that they have less of the administrative time, but that they're using their time to be creatives and being able to create the emails directly in platform. When it comes to AI imagery, it's something that we have some brands that are excited about the prospects of having AI images being incorporated in designs. But then we have other brands that they have straight out told us in a discovery session, absolutely, you cannot create any images with AI. And the reason for this is because they say that their customers can see right through it. And that's something that has been brought up a couple times today, is the more people are using the same prompts and all that kind of stuff, everything is going to look the same. I know I was just walking by a coffee shop. I'm based in Melbourne, if you can't tell from my accent. But I was passing a coffee shop, and I pointed out to my husband, and I was like, that sign's created by Claude. Like, it's clear as day, because you can definitely tell when something is generated by AI. And so I think that with brands being aware that their customers are very anti-AI, it's something that we're going to see a trend of people really hating if brands are incorporating and all looking the same. And so that's where, once again, understanding the brands you're working with, understanding what's important and what resonates with them, that's what matters. And then probably the most important and most exciting thing that we've been able to improve with AI is the optimizations and the improvement stage. And so with AI, we've been able to identify patterns and trends faster than we ever could before. We can implement things quicker. We can iterate more frequently and make better decisions. And we can move quickly, but move quickly in the right direction. So with just some simple changes in our process, we've been able to increase our A/B testing by 177% just from the start of this year. And we look forward to continuing to make improvements from there. Just wanted to touch on technology changes and incorporating AI. So Klaviyo's in the room today, and we do a lot of our work on Klaviyo. So I wanted to call out some of their AI capabilities and how we think about these new tech features that are coming out literally every single day. So Klaviyo has implemented a number of different AI features, and when it comes to optimizations and that whole idea of working smarter, not harder, it's definitely something when these new features come out, we lean headfirst in. We're so excited. But we're always testing them against our existing strategy and proven tactics. It's not something we blindly adopt. It's something that we really are focused on having our strong foundations and understanding about each brand and understanding where it makes time or when it makes sense to implement some of these products and when it actually might not. One thing that we found out with testing, as an example, is that something like Best Next Product, that on average increased click-through rate by 15% for our clients for specific segments, while as other segments, we actually found our previous strategy and dynamic product feeds actually performed better. So it's really about testing and understanding where these tools and changes are going to make the biggest impact for each individual brand. It's not a one-size-fits-all. And so when you look at combining that process of balancing the human component and the AI component, you get something like this, something that AI has helped us scale, but the strategy felt human still. This is a Melbourne brand, Fancy Hanks. If you haven't tried their hot sauce, it's really good. Unique flavors like watermelon, carrot, hot sauce. Really good, but that's not the point of this slide. Going through, I wanted to call out a couple of things that they said in their testimony, which really speaks to the truth of trying to balance human with AI and technology. Nothing felt templated. The solution reflected our business, not a one-size-fits-all approach. And that's something that I think that when you take a step back, you really reflect what is true to you as an agency, what makes you unique and special, and incorporating these amazing changes in AI and technology to amplify that. The client feels that, and you get results like this. So there's a couple things that I wanted to leave you guys with before lunch, is with thinking about AI and technology, it's something that just being mindful that what works today doesn't necessarily work tomorrow, and being comfortable with the uncomfortableness of things changing all the time. It's something that culturally we've always tried to establish, having a growth mindset at the Growth Gurus. Go figure with a name like that. But it is something that we want our clients to grow, we want our team to grow, and we want our agency, of course, to grow. And so with that comes the responsibility of constantly diving into these new changes in technology and testing and learning and adapting and repeating. So, thank you everyone for your time. I hope that this kind of just put that in your mind of thinking at the end of the day as you're going through the roundtables and stuff, of going through and seeing where AI can fit in your agency, where it should amplify you and not replace you. I think that a lot of people mentioned it today, but the real edge isn't the tools that you use. Everyone's out there using them. It's knowing when to use it. So at the end of the day, I do believe if you focus on your customers, you solve real problems, you focus on creating impact, you invest in your people and encourage curiosity, you can use AI to make everything better, but also stay human. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, so now we're breaking for lunch. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, so I don't see Helen in the room, but I'll make the executive decision that we will come back from lunch in an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll see you then.